This movie far exceeded any expectations that I had coming into it. It is truly the story of Louis Wain and his life. He grew up in a home with his 5 sisters. All that time, he would do odd jobs, including illustrations of animals, to help earn money. When a local publication, also the largest newspaper in London at the time, decided to hire Louis as one of their illustrators, it was an opportunity that was too good to pass. But considering Louis's eccentricities, he actually did pass on it to begin with. It was only after learning about his sisters hiring a governess for his younger siblings that he decided to take this position a little bit more seriously. Little did he know that this governess would become much more than a governess to the children, as she would eventually become his bride. Emily is actually the one that helped Louis fall in love with cats. Now, Louis Wain had the ability to see something peculiar. He could actually sense electricity, or he thought he could. Electricity was in everything, and he thought that by understanding it, that he could understand the world better. He saw it in everything. He felt it in everything. And it was all about understanding that and helping people see the beauty that lies within that. His mind was a dark, screaming hurricane of crippling anxieties and recurring nightmares. The electricity and his love for Emily are all that brought him peace. He said, electricity is what pushes us through the time. He truly believed that electricity is what made the world go round. Maybe not in a literal sense, but you know what I mean. Along the way, he would come to learn about some mental illnesses within his family, and he would struggle with these as well. In modern terms, we would maybe call it being on the spectrum, and whether or not this was just a character or whether or not Benedict Cumberbatch, the actor that plays Louis Wain, is actually on the spectrum, I am not going to hasten a guess at that, but either way, it was such an accurate portrayal of somebody dealing with those difficulties that you can't help but feel it as this movie is told. And you can feel it as the story progresses, and you feel the angst, and you feel the pain, and you feel the fear, and it just draws you into it in a way that I just can't really even explain. After the tragic loss of his wife, Louis went down an entirely different path with his work. And even though his sisters tried to help him by pointing out that he could run away from his family, but he couldn't run away from the grief, it didn't really help to recenter him. And that's another thing that maybe points me to the idea that maybe he was on the spectrum. If you're curious about why I talk about the spectrum the way I do, it is because I, myself, I'm close to people on the spectrum. If you or someone you love is on the spectrum, this is the type of movie that might help you understand it a little bit better. It wasn't the madness that is portrayed in this movie, but this is at a time that people didn't understand what that was. As Louis began to express himself in what I would call a kaleidoscope of mandalas. I kind of described his work as mandala paintings of cats in the upcoming movies podcast that I had discussed, but actually seeing how his work progressed, it was more of if you put mandalas into a kaleidoscope and then spun it around and had all of those mandalas having to do with cats, and the artwork or the visions that you see from all of those mixed together, that is what you get with Louis Wain. And that is what you understand of his way of expressing what the things are that brought him the most joy. In this case, it was cats, in both the literal and the not so literal sense in that. Now, being a cat mom, I may be a little bit biased towards a movie such as this, but even if you're not a big cat fan, the story has a draw to it that will just grab a hold of you, and it's one that you're going to be talking about long after it's done. I am so glad that Amazon took the risk with this film, and the way that they portrayed it could not have been better. Though there are a few goofs in the film itself, continuity errors as I would call them, unless you are looking for them, they're really difficult to find. There are a few factual errors as well, but again, unless you're looking for them specifically, they're incredibly difficult to find. You're probably curious with the way I've been talking about this movie, what I gave it on the deputy scale. Well, on the deputy scale, I actually gave this movie an 8.25 out of 10. This is one that I will watch and rewatch over and over again, and I cannot wait to share it with friends and family, and I hope that you feel the same.